Okay, we're about to pull back the curtain on a hidden network. One that connects the stuff in your house, the weather outside, and even the hormones running through your body. It's this incredible story of invisible threats and these really surprising links that are completely changing how we think about health. So let's just dive right in with a bit of a riddle. What on earth could wildfires, your phone case, and a sweltering day in the city possibly have in common? I know, it sounds totally random, but the answer reveals this really powerful connection that has some serious implications for all of us. The first piece of this whole puzzle is all about the chemical soup we're living in every single day. We are constantly surrounded by and interacting with substances, most of them totally invisible, that can have a huge impact on our bodies. We're talking about something called endocrine disrupting chemicals, or EDCs for short. Now, I know it's a technical term, but the idea is actually pretty simple. These are chemicals from the outside world that get inside our bodies and just mess with our hormones. They can mimic them, block them, or just generally scramble the signals. Think of them like tiny imposters hijacking your body's most important communication network. And get this isn't some old, dusty science. Our understanding of this threat is changing so fast. I mean, just a few years ago, we were doing pretty basic screening. Now we're linking entire mixtures of these things to conditions like sleep apnea. And just this year, a really common chemical, isobutylparaben, was officially flagged as a potent threat. This stuff is literally unfolding in real time. So, where are all these EDCs hiding? The short answer is, pretty much everywhere. That isobutylparaben we just mentioned. It's in your cosmetics. Phthalates and BPA, you've probably heard of those. They're in food packaging and all sorts of plastics. We're even discovering that teeny tiny microplastics are acting as EDCs, potentially messing with our thyroid. They're in our furniture, our electronics. It's just this constant, low-level exposure from all sides. And because these chemicals are literally everywhere, our whole way of thinking about risk has had to change. You see, we used to study just one chemical at a time, in isolation. But that's not how real life works, right? We're actually exposed to what scientists are calling a chemical cocktail. So the real challenge now is figuring out the total cumulative burden of all these different chemicals working together inside our bodies. Okay, so we've got this baseline level of chemical exposure. Now, let's bring in the second major player in this story, climate change. And this is crucial. It's not some separate issue. It's actually an amplifier. It's turning up the volume on the risks we're already facing. So how exactly does that work? Well, it happens in a few key ways. First, hotter cities mean we spend more time indoors, surrounded by all the plastics and furnishings that release these chemicals. Second, more wildfires mean huge plumes of smoke carrying their own types of EDCs. Third, the heat itself can actually make some chemicals evaporate more easily, so we end up inhaling them. And on top of all that, just the stress of dealing with climate events can directly disrupt our hormone system. This chart just lays it out so clearly. On the left, you see our normal baseline risk from everyday chemicals. But look what happens on the right when you add a climate event, like a major heat wave. The risk doesn't just go up a little bit, it almost doubles. It's not addition, it's multiplication. Climate change is a true threat multiplier here. Now, I know this all sounds pretty heavy, but here's where the story takes a really important turn. Because as the science gets clearer and clearer, the world is actually starting to respond. We're right at the beginning of a huge global policy shift to try and get ahead of this thing. And this isn't just talk, it's real action. Just look at how widespread this is. The European Union is clamping down on chemicals in cosmetics. India is mandating safer materials for baby products. The US is widening its net to screen for more chemicals. You've got France and Canada proposing bans on microplastics. This is a global acknowledgement that we have to do better. So let's bring all these threads together. You've got the invisible chemicals we live with, you've got a changing climate that's making their effects worse, and now you've got the start of a global policy response. It's really about connecting all the dots to see this new, systemic kind of risk we're facing. And this quote from the research, it just nails it. It talks about a paradigm shift. We're moving away from looking at one chemical at a time and embracing a systems-level view of risk. What that really means is we finally have to accept that our health is shaped by everything all at once. The climate, that chemical cocktail, and even how we live our lives. And all of this leads us to one final, really powerful question. The science is making it crystal clear that our environment, the climate, and our own bodies are all part of one deeply interconnected system. So, if that's the reality, shouldn't our approach to health be just as interconnected? That's really the big challenge and the big opportunity for the years ahead.